Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Championship Series Premier League for 2015. We're in our very first season of the year and in the round of 32. For the first time, bringing you action from the round of 32, of course, from our studios in both Burbank and here in Cologne. Final day of action of StarCraft II here in the ESL studios, but don't worry, there's still 2 more groups to go as well. Today we'll concentrate on Group F. F for fascinating, because we have 4 very different players in this group. We have the return of a king, we have the young pretender to the throne, an Asian artist, and an evil genius. That's right, all 4 thrown into the mix to find out which 2 advance to the round of 16. This is how the round of 32 has shaped out so far. We've had 5 groups already, 3 this week, 2 previously in Burbank before, and today we'll concentrate on Group F. We have 2 final groups to take place, and they'll be taking place next week in our Burbank studios over in California. So, Group F, how does it shape up? Let's find out with Sean Apollo Clark.
Group F, StarCraft's favourite villain, returns to the Premier League. 2 students attempt to sneak out of tonight's group. Suppy, a med student from California, and Serral, the 16-year-old Finnish star who's secretly one of the best Zergs in Europe. Haas, famous for a surprising upset against Jadong last year, will be looking to shatter dreams again tonight. And then there's Naniwa. The King of the North makes his big return to the Premier League.
A very interesting group indeed. Thanks to Sean. We'll hear from Sean a little bit later on. Joining me at the desk is Stefano and Todd once again. How you doing, gents?
Marvellous.
Marvellous.
Oh, yeah, fresh.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I believe you.
Doing pretty good.
Good. Okay, let's take a look at all 4 players a little bit more in depth now. It's a very diverse, mixed group of players, and we've got a spread of players that have got massive experience, very little experience, and 2 of the youngest players in the round of 32 as well. So how do you see it shaping up? Who's the favourite? Who's the underdog?
Stefano, go first.
Honestly, I think the favourite would be Naniwa.
You still think? Even though he's been away for so long?
Since his comeback, he's been doing great. I can't really get this away from him, sadly. But I think he's like the favourite for sure. And the underdog would be... I'm hesitating between Suppy and Haas, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Suppy spoke to us a little bit upstairs for the last couple of days. He's been playing, practicing, and what have you. Doesn't seem to be as confident as I usually see him. He's usually, yeah, I'm playing well, I'm playing all right, but seems to be struggling a little bit with confidence. But you could say the same about all 4 players in this group. None of them seem confident enough to get out, but 2 have got to get out.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe Haas will be the more confident one overall, but we're not even sure if it's like real confidence or if it's just because he doesn't know his opponents that well. So it's still kind of hard to say. Naniwa, when he retired, he said this epic line, like something like, when I retire, or after I retire, if I want to come back, it's only going to take me 1 week and then I'll be back to the best foreigner spots, which I think has not proved true at all. Like, he's definitely taken a lot more than that, and I feel like
some great players on the way through the qualifiers.
Yes,
but Challenger as well.
This group today and this tournament is going to answer a lot of questions as to how much of a return he can make to the scene, and I think that makes it very interesting.
All right, let's take a look at the bracket and show you how the 2 matches are going to shape out originally. We're going to start off with Suppy versus Serral, and then we'll move on to the Naniwa game versus Haas. The 2 winners will play each other. It's a usual format of dual tournament, of course, at WCS. The 2 winners will go through to fight for the first place in the group, and the other 2 will get 1 more chance in the lower bracket to advance to the round of 16 finals here in Europe. So, let's introduce our players. Are you ready? The crowd are sitting there. Yeah, we're ready. Are you ready, people? Are you ready? Yeah. They're kind of ready. Okay. Here are our 2 players. First up, a young man who is just 16 years of age. He is Europe's great undiscovered talent, and he's about to show us why. Please welcome my Insanity's Serral. And back in 2007, this man was also one of those prodigal sons of Brood War. He's since made a name for himself in StarCraft II, playing for evil geniuses. Please welcome Suppy. Okay, players are going to choose their maps and go through the map vetoes. Gives us a chance to look at these 2 players in a little bit more depth. We'll start with Serral. As we've already said, 16 years of age. Can you remember when you were 16? Stefano?
It wasn't that far away. Come on.
I always think of you as being retired, quite old.
Yeah. 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah. But 16, how does he cope with this? He's only had one offline.
It's really hard when you're that young to go to a tournament by yourself and try to just do good. Just try to stay focused. It's extremely, extremely hard.
Yeah. You sound like you had a traumatic experience or something.
No, but yeah, like everybody else, I think. Like when you start that young and you go by yourself, you have no support and you're just like lost and you still have to do good. And I don't know, I didn't like it the first time, sorry.
He's got a little bit of support with Kane hanging around here to support his teammates, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the players that are here, they are very close friends. So I guess, there is like this huge group of people that's mostly like all the players hang out with, except for a few exceptions. Not gonna name anybody.
No need to.
And that's always nice. Also, some of the players that are here, they play the same race, as you say, that's Suppy, so it gets to talk with them a little bit. But I feel like it's mostly, that helps, but it's mostly about the preparation going into this tournament with the last few days, the last few weeks. That's really going to affect how they play today.
Yeah, nothing wrong with his ZVP or his ZvZ for that matter. He's got some great race results for Serral over the last 12 months. In particular, his challenger win over Harston, which was a 3-0 thumping. Surprised by that?
A little bit, yeah. I rate Harston actually very, very high in the European rankings or just Protoss in general. And I was a little bit surprised to see a 3-0 for Serral. But those games were pretty impressive by him, maybe not that impressive for Harston. But the thing that's interesting about his ZVP is that it's a very specific style, unlike any other. I don't think we saw a single Swarmos during those games, which is a big change already from the games we saw in the last few days. So that's going to make it very interesting as well.
Yeah, and if he needs to, he can play that style as well. We've seen him play Swarmhouse before, so he seems to have a few tricks up his sleeve here.
Yeah, he seems to, I guess, want to play differently. But as you said, he definitely can pull that card once in a while, maybe as a surprise, because I don't think his opponent will expect it too often out of him.
Okay, moving on to Suppy. He's been around a while now. It seems like he's been around for a very long time and not perhaps had major results that we might have expected him to have. But just looking back at 2014, round of 16, Red Bull Detroit, Red Bull Atlanta, top 8, and MLG Anaheim out 28 to 36. That's not great form, is it?
I guess I have to agree with you. The thing is, StarCraft II is just so competitive. Like, I don't think he lost to anybody that was bad or just an average player. He always lost to, like, very, very good guys. The thing is, his opponents here are pretty damn good. Like, he's in a group with a Serral who's seemingly playing really well and on fire, with a Naniwa who likes PVZ the best out of all the 3 matchups, and then a Haz who's the trickiest player in the world, possibly. So, it's going to be tough.
Stefano, they've not played each other before, so there's no sort of form. We can't work out how they're going to play against each other. So what did you do in that position when you hadn't played a guy before and you come across?
I actually never really cared about practicing anything.
I knew he was going to say that.
I know Suppy has an advantage, is that in ZvZ, or the way I understood his play, is he practiced a specific strategy and it's supposed to work against every single opponent. And I think he did that, and I think he has something to show us.
Is that dangerous, though, sometimes, if you do that? Because if it doesn't work in the first game, you kind of...
where you have preparation, I think it's good to have like something quite special to start with, but doing this every single game, no, it's wrong. But one-time thing, why not?
Okay. ZvZ, obviously, to kick us off. I know you've enjoyed these. 6 out of 10 so far in the round of 16. What does that say about where Zerg is right now in the balance race?
I think Todd would like to answer this question better.
I think I want to hear what you have to say about it.
I actually always admitted that Zerg was the best race, and I never lied about it. And I still think Zerg is the race with the most potential, but we're not using it fully yet. Or we're too lazy and we go to Swarmos, or like we find the easy solution, but I think with some dedication we can find some better play style.
Then what do you think about in Taipei? Every player that was interviewed said that they played the worst race. Maru said he played Terran was the worst race. Live said Zerg is the worst race.
Oh, like Protoss, Terran, and Zerg, everybody says they have the worst race?
Yeah, Parting said the Protoss is easily the worst race.
I think it's just like an excuse to say, I'm losing because it's the worst race, but if I had another race, I would win.
Live won. And
Live won, and he still said it was the worst race.
I don't know what I can say. Or to give him more credit, like I play with the worst race and I still win.
Maybe. Yeah, it's very interesting how we all moan about our own races, that's for sure. Time to put your reputations at stake here. Suppy versus Serral. Got to pick one. Who are you going with?
Stefano.
Oh, I'm heart and soul with Suppy.
Okay. Is that an EG thing?
No, no.
Sticking with your
I'm
bro?
really fond of him. Really
Okay.
fond of him.
Really fond of him. Okay. All right.
I really like Suppy as well, but I think Serral maybe going to have a slight advantage going into this match.
Even with the lack of experience?
He's been around for quite some time. It's not like he's totally inexperienced, so I guess definitely not as experienced as Suppy, but is more in his prime than Suppy is. So, and I think that's going to give him an advantage.
Okay, thanks very much, Todd and Stefano. Let's go over to our commentary team for Game 1 in Group F. Apollo and Kalaris, it's all yours.
All right, the first game here of Group F to find out who's going to be moving through to the winners match, as we have two pretty young players in terms of how they've been able to try and progress through StarCraft. Both of them don't have quite the accomplishments they want, but Serral recently, in the end of 2014, broke onto the scene a little bit here in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. He's regarded as one of the best Zergs in Europe right now. And to be honest, if this tournament was online, I would say he would be first place every single time he played this group out. But there's a big difference between playing online from your comfort zone to coming to the studio, to playing in front of a crowd, to have the lights in your face, to have this camera in your face. I interviewed him earlier today. He was nervous. He absolutely was nervous.
Well, he is the youngest player here in the WCS, so that has to weigh a little bit in that regard.
But he's one of the best.
Yeah, and will he be able to show that potential is the question, as he goes up against a player who, again, it's funny how these dynamics work out, because we don't necessarily get to see a lot of Europe's versus Americans, and WCS this season has really shaken it up and made all this happen.
And there is Suppy, our friendly American, come over for this tournament, and he's got a lot of experience under his belt, but he studies a lot in America. I don't know what he's doing by rubbing his lips there. I think we did catch him putting some chapstick on earlier on. I think he may be referencing that. But what is he wearing? What is this?
It's a hope necklace to give him hope throughout these games.
Okay, well...
I'm just guessing.
I hope it works for him.
Yeah, hope so.
As Overgrowth, Expedition Loss, and Catalina are the three maps that we're going to be going over to. But between these two players, like I said, if Serral was to play online, I think he'd smash this. And I still think he could do very, very well in the group. But Suppy has got nothing to lose right now. He has been saying for the last couple of days, well, this group's very difficult. I'm in the group with Naniwa. Serral is amazing, and I don't really know what to expect from Haas. So I'm just going to play like there's no tomorrow. It doesn't matter for me, and that sometimes can actually help you out a lot.
All right, well, let's get into it then. It's going to be game number 1 in this best of 3. Overgrowth Ellie will be our map in the Zerg versus Zerg to find out who's moving on to the winners match tonight. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, it's our red Zerg. Representing evil geniuses, it is Suppy.
It's his 5th time in Premier League. Very, very good.
And down to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg. Representing my insanity, it is Serral.
Just 16 years of age. And 2nd time in Premier League, back-to-back appearances now. Played last season in 2014, Season 3, and has now made it in 2015 as well, with that dominating performance, 3-0 versus Harston, who was becoming a regular in the Premier League, and that was a very, very strong result.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect that to go down 3-0 as it did, but that is the case. So Serral claimed his mark on Challenger pretty easily, but you rose the mention of it was online, it was Challenger League, and that's where his comfort zone is now. Let's see how he's going to perform on the LAN stage. He has been to quite a few DreamHacks in the past, admittedly, but never really got to the upper echelons of the tournament.
I think I counted them. It was about 9, I think it was, or maybe 10. So he's played at a lot of DreamHacks, but he never made it to the stage part of the tournament. He played still at a decent level, of course, in the tournaments, and played some decent players. I remember he played a Korean Terran. I can't remember which one it was way back when. This is like 2013. Yeah, Supernova, I think it was, right. And he showed excellent play, and he was only 14, 15 back then. But anyway, I have Spawning Pool first out by Serral compared to Hatchery first coming out from Suppy. So a much safer option coming out here from Serral, whereas Suppy taken a little bit more risk, especially when he's going up so high with his drones.
Yeah, and going gas here before actually adding on his spawning pool. So behind all of this, though, at least Serral will have his queens out nice and quickly to get that lava injecting going. So it slowly balances out because you get those extra lava. But for now, Suppy, you know, with this very, very economic opening, is doing all right.
And to be honest, I really like the queen being out earlier to deny the overload from seeing your gas timing. Really keeps your opponent guessing on what exactly you're doing, compared to Serral, who should be able to go inside the main base and get all the information he needs.
That's definitely true. It's something that's a very, very big dynamic here in Zerg versus Zerg, as that Overlord is going to head on in, and especially considering he slowed down his spawning pool for actually getting the extractor before that, it adds extra validity to this Overlord getting in and poking around.
I haven't seen Suppy play Zerg versus Zerg in a long time. I'm going to guess that he just plays to a more you know, just the popular meta game that's currently used. But I'd be interested to see if he brings anything different to the table today. We see a lot of Mutalist play, a lot of Roach play. We'll see what he uses.
Tooth-based muted play has been pretty common, These Zerglings for Serral as well are going to poke around at the front and try and get themselves a drone, but that's a little bit eager, as 2 extra Zerglings will come and delay. But he saw everything in the main anyway with the Overlord, so the 2 Zerglings that are normally used for scouting, he didn't even necessarily need to be there.
No. Talking from experience, Serral being at such a young age, the more games you play on the day that you're nervous on, the better you become and the less nerves you have. So the longer the day goes for Serral, because right now he might be quite nervous, and the longer, like if he plays a few series later, he won't really be nervous at all.
That's a good point. That is a good point. And we'll see how long he's going to last here, because there is a potential that you can just go out in 2 series in this kind of system. But Serral is a high caliber player. Should be able to hold on strong as he's getting his bane lift in the main, actually, no less. So that is a little bit hidden away from Suppy here.
Absolutely. And a couple of Zergling wars here, just equaling out together. But so both of them got the Zergling speed on the way and the Baneling Nest about to complete, but neither of them have committed to some type of attack here. And it's actually Serral who's going to slap down that evolution chamber. And it looks like it's going to time itself up with 150 gas, which would be a carapace opening here.
And a cute little positioning does technically leave that queen in the main base defended if the Zerglings want to go for a wraparound on it. But of course, if they actually go into that choke point, it's kind of trapped. So it'll die slower, but it would technically die, as the Zerglings are going to poke in and see the evolution chamber being added on.
Yeah, and it's actually a +1 attack coming out. So we are going to have a Roach game from Serral, whereas on the other side of things, we have the layer starting and gases being taken, so Suppy is pushing himself towards the Spire. So Suppy can drone up quite freely at this point. He's got a Spine Crawl to defend and a couple of Banelings to help out too, but he has to be very careful to get stung by some type of Roach hit before his Mutalist count is out.
I wonder if because he didn't see a Roach Warren just yet, he was thinking maybe it was going to be some kind of carapace. It was a little bit late for something like that, but it's certainly something that he could be factoring in, as those Banelings were already morphed in at the front.
Absolutely, he does not know which type of upgrade that is at all. No, certainly, that's a very valid point.
Well, those Lings for now are going to head on down to the 3rd base and try and check for Suppy, but they managed to actually to come back. And Banelings are even in defensive posture here for Serral, just to make sure that those Lings weren't going to go any further towards that 3rd.
Serral doesn't really know what's going on either in this game, even though we can see everything that's going on by both sides. Serral doesn't quite know that this is a 2-base Spire play.
And sending a lot of Lings forwards into the middle of the map here to now also morphing quite a few Banelings and try and maybe go for assault, but Suppy's pretty well locked down. He's got 2 spines, quite a few Banelings there to support. He's got to be careful about how he approaches this. Ooh, that wasn't too careful. But 2 for 2 alike, not too bad. But the Spire's on the way, and that does kind of hurt the positioning of Serral here if that's going to go unhindered.
I think Serral's starting to work this out now. 2 Spine Crawlers at the front here. You don't really have 2 Spine Crawlers if you're playing a Roach-type play. And the Overseer goes inside the main base, and he will pick up the Spire Scout. And from this point, it's almost too late to do any type of damage because the Spire's almost complete. So what he'll be wanting to do, I would imagine, is just to drone up and look towards denying his opponent's 3rd, but more importantly, getting his economy working on 3 bases. And if he can defend that economy on 3 bases, he find himself in good position to move to the mid-game.
Well, he's having to pull all his Overlords back away from the middle, just so they don't die off. That's one thing that the Mutalist transition or the Mutalist play here in this game matchup really, really gives you. Good vision, good control of the middle, and denial of vision as well. He's going to try and pressure towards his third base. That was good control there from Serral to keep that one Baneling alive.
And now Roaches are here to support this.
Very, very difficult for Suppy to break through with this meager force.
The economy is pretty good for Serral, actually. I just looked at his drone count, and it's already at 55. He's now throwing down a lot of Spore Crawlers. He's going to replenish what he's lost in terms of drones, but his economy's looking pretty good.
Spores are well timed out as well, as those Mutalisks now fly on forwards. Should be able to zone it out.
Suppy is throwing down the Infestation Pit. He's going to play a newer style in ZvZ that we haven't really seen in the WCS yet. It's Mutalisk into Swarm Host.
Okay, well, we'll see how Serral's going to be able to deal with that. Queen may end up dying at the front, but it barely lives as it gets to the safety of a Spore Crawler just about to pop, as well as its fellow Queens. Finds an Overlord at least.
I really like Mutalisk as Swarm Host. I've used it only a couple of times, but it's really fun. Oh, no, wait. He's throwing down a Hive.
Ooh.
Where is he going with this?
Interesting. What? Maybe if he goes Viper's Blinding Clouds and then Roach Warren himself, but...
I have no idea what this means. I haven't seen this.
Okay, well, let's see what Suppy's going to bring to the... That's a very fast Hive in this matchup. Faster than I've seen for a long, long, long time. So let's see what he's going to do with it. Is there anything you can think of, Sean? Out of the box?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I actually don't know.
All right, well, he's going to take a fourth base behind this. The Mutalisks continue to poke on around, but the Queens are zoning out nicely along with the Spore Crawlers as well. And...
Did Serral... Serral has not spotted the Hive, no. He had an Overseer and a Changeling inside the main base. He's going to see it now.
Yeah.
So now he's going to see the Hive. He's going to be like, what is going on?
What does this mean?
But his economy is good on two bases. He's you know 68 drones. He hasn't really taken too much damage. His +2 attack is already on the way. He throws down a Spire of his own. Did actually built a Nidus Worm and then cancelled it, then built it again. Okay. And a Hydralisk Den. I'm not sure what he's thinking right now. I mean, he's built everything.
Yeah.
He's got the Nidus Worm, Spire, and Hydralisk Den. He's like, what is this?
If
he doesn't know exactly what it is. He's got a scout on the his opponent's third as well.
I can't think of any higher tech that works without the ability to have some good upgrades.
He can go to the Great Aspire now. That's unlocked, but I don't know.
Is that the way? Is that the way?
I don't know what this is.
Well, Suppy's still controlling the middle of the map.
We're gonna see a Nidus Worm inside the main base. I think Serral has this Overseer.
Yeah,
and I think he's just like, well, I don't really know what this is, but I've got a lot of units.
Yeah, and he knows that Mutalisks are the only thing keeping him as a barrier in the middle of the map, right? So if he can actually traverse past that very quickly with a Nidus Worm.
And there are 11 Queens. He's been building his Queens up very heavily over the last couple of minutes, and he's also got 10 Hydralisks on the way too. And I think this just may be the end of Suppy.
Yeah, the Mutalisks are so far out of position. The Queens are with this as well, so it has a little bit of anti-air mixed in. Another Nidus Worm's going to hit the floor here, and he sees the Great Aspire morphing in, so he knows exactly what he's going to be going up against.
This is going to be game.
He even brought drones for some Spore Crawlers as well to build at this location, just to make sure these Mutalisks couldn't do too much.
But the Hydralisks are going to come out from the Nidus Worm now too to assist these Queens.
It's too much. It's too much. The Queens are buying the time with the transfuses. Here come the Hydralisks, and Serral just runs away with this.
Well, the Mutalisk count's pretty decent, but there's so many Hydralisks on the way, and there's a lot of Spore Crawlers supporting this. This is an area which won't be broken, and I'm a little bit confused with this playstyle from Suppy. Like I said, I haven't really seen this before. I
think it would have made a huge amount of sense if he didn't go for a Nidus, but then maybe Suppy with this playstyle hasn't really faced the idea of a Nidus, or was keeping good vision on the extremities of his bases to make sure that wouldn't happen, because Mutalisks are going to deny your opponent from moving out for quite a while when he doesn't have Hydralisk numbers, but the Nidus completely negates that.
Yeah, and this is a walkover here from Serral. He's broken down these spines. The Mutalisk counts down to what? 3, 2, 1, almost nothing. Good game. And Serral will open up the day with a win. And that's exactly what you want if you are Serral, is to win your first game, because then you just kind of say to yourself, yes, I can do this, and I will do this.
In a little bit of an unconventional way, but whatever gets you the win, basically, against what your opponent's going to throw at you. So Serral found the solution to that puzzle very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. Read into it, saw the Hive with the Changelings. It's like, well, if you're going to be taking up this fast and thinking that you're pinning me back with the Mutalisks, I'll just bring the fight to your side very fast.
Let's, I would like to test around with Suppy's strategy a little bit more. It kind of seemed cool. Mutalisk into a pretty fast Great Aspire into Broodlords, and then a Broodlord push could have been pretty deadly.
Yeah.
But Serral was on top of his scouting, the most important part, and then upon seeing that, he knew that he was going to do as he did, and he did. And it worked out well.
All right, well, we're now starting the countdown for game number 2. It's going to be Expedition Lost here, as Serral currently 1-0.
Super solid, super standard. Did nothing out of the ordinary here. Just played very normal. And, you know, looked at the puzzle in front of him and solved it.
Very, very fast, very quickly. So good reaction times, good problem solving there by Serral. As we get into game number 2 here in this best of 3 with our Finn leading 1-0 against our American representative. Spawn down to the bottom left-hand corner. It's our red Zerg representing Team Evil Geniuses. It is Suppy. And up to the top right-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg representing My Insanity. It's Serral.
I'm getting a little bit nervous for the rest of the group now. I think Serral could take first place today. I really think he can.
He's the Finnish phenom, man. He is the Finnish phenom. He's been able to play very, very well online, and everyone's been singing his praises for a long time. And this is his golden opportunity to prove himself.
Funny enough, he's still in school and still studies, Serral. And he was also, if I'm not mistaken, recently just got back from New York because he was on a family holiday.
Oh.
I got back a couple of days ago and was without StarCraft for a week or two before his WCS games.
Okay. And decides to just bring out that kind of play. Very, very solid.
Yeah. There was nothing really fancy. There was no fancy play at all there. It was just regular Zergling Baneling opening into the Roaches and +1 attack into his third. Kind of sat back defensively very nicely. Defensive against the Mutalisks and then finished him off.
Was that a little bit of an earlier pool? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it maybe a 14 or 15 or so?
Yeah, it just looks like regular, maybe 14 or 15. I wasn't looking closely, but it's nothing too fast.
Yeah, not too much. Just going to take the hatchery behind this as well. Serral's, they've basically actually swapped builds for this game, as we have Serral going to the gas first and then the spawning pool behind it. So he's not feeling too put up against any pressure.
No. And he doesn't need to be, as this is not happening here.
Mm-hmm. So Suppy, what is he going to do? I'd be very surprised if he tries for the same build. I wouldn't mind seeing him go into Mutalisks again, as he did. I think it asserted himself nicely on the map, but then a bit more of a normal transition off the back of that.
I do like Mutalisk play, but on this map, it can be very difficult with those back rocks, because Roaches can just sit there, break them down, and then you have 2 entrances to deal with, and you usually don't creep spread inside your main base to be able to move spine crawls there to defend it, and then you'd have to have like multiple spine crawls in 2 locations, so it's more dangerous to be able to pull that type of play off on this map.
All right, well, Roaches are the flavor of the day, or have been for a while here in Zerg versus Zerg, so let's see if they come to fruition. Speed is going to be thrown down here for Serral. He might get aggressive. He might actually get aggressive himself. It's hard to tell at this point, but he is bringing in a little bit extra gas. Normally that's to go for more of a defensive Baneling Nest.
Yeah, it can be defensive Baneling Nest, can be an aggressive one. It could be for a fast evolution chamber. Could be for a super fast layer. Multiple options available for the young boy.
Suppy grabs himself a Baneling Nest very, very fast before even starting speed. So there's the Baneling Nest going down for Serral right at the back, a little bit more difficult for his opponent to spot.
Yeah, that's interesting. You never get the Baneling Nest without speed. So this is a purely defensive build here from Suppy.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be, I would imagine, a very fast layer and something very similar again then. He's going to get the Baneling Nest this early.
It seems so. Seems so. He's really cutting corners in regards to that gas. Starts the speed now, but it's far later than we're seeing here from Serral, who technically with his own speed, if he made a flood of Zerglings, could run rings around him, but I think Suppy's going to be okay defensively because he has his queens in the right spots.
Yeah, it should be just pure drone city from Suppy because his Zergling speed's going to be so late. It's, you know, another 90 seconds away or so.
All right, well, it's drones on the other side here for Serral. He's adding on 2 extra Zerglings, but they might just be to poke around, scout out a little bit, make sure nothing too crazy is going on. He saw 4 Zerglings coming across, so he was basically equaling those numbers.
I think Suppy was a little bit worried about Serral's opening here that had that such fast gas and such fast Zergling speed that he didn't feel that he had time to be able to get Zergling speed, then the Baneling Nest out to be okay if an attack was coming, so he went for the Baneling Nest first.
Yeah, and Serral off the back of that is not really taking any kind of drone lead or anything like that, but the Zerglings get in, have a look around, and they see as the layer starts morphing in, and he even sees extra gas being taken there pretty quickly. So Serral has a lot of information available to him.
And he's going to go for that +1 attack again, just going to use the same build as the previous game.
Well, it was solid, so why not? It seemed to work out. And
one Baneling for one Zergling, good trade-off there for Serral.
Yeah.
Got the scouting information he needed.
And let's see how he's going to fare. There's already a few Zerglings going to head into the main base as well here for Suppy and spot out that there is the Baneling nest at the back, but he also spotted the one evolution chamber, once again whirring away. So Suppy should be able to identify that this is pretty similar to last game.
Yep, it's almost identical games by both here. Suppy going for the 2-base layer into 2-base spy more than likely. I wonder if he'll try the same again as he did previously and just kind of keep an overlord around his base, or at least creep spread or something along those lines.
That's a lot of Zerglings in production from both of them, actually.
Yeah, they've both kind of hit, well, at least Suppy has, the optimal saturation for 2 bases.
Yeah.
Serral's a little bit lower than that, but he's missing 1 gas, so they're very similar in terms of their economy. So they can build units now.
Zerglings starting around again. They've really wanted to get into that main base and spot that spire, but they were unable to. But he can infer what's really going on. I think he has a good inkling here, especially after seeing the idea of no 3rd base down to that bottom right going on. Got to be careful of these Banelings. That was an alright trade there for Serral. Once again, he got quite a few Banelings there for just 2 or so.
Yeah, 7 drones by Serral on the way, and he's playing almost the same as the last one, you know, just going to drone up nicely across these 3 bases. One thing he doesn't have is creep spread in between the bases, which would be nice for his defense overall against Mutalist play.
And the second thing he doesn't really have is the full confirm on the Spire, so he hasn't brought his Overlords back just yet. He's actually sending an Overlord in, an Overseer in, to now get it. But there are 2 Overlords very far out towards his base, so he may end up losing a few.
Yeah, there's about 6 Overlords out in the middle of the map, which could easily be picked up.
Almost got that Overseer. That's very, very uncommon for a single queen to actually get that kill, and it will not.
Overlord speed is on the way, which will help these units retreat. Extra queen production started, +2 attack has started now for Serral too.
Yeah, that's a cool response from Serral to actually get that reactively, just to try and get those Overlords back.
Yeah. The thing is with queen production too, by the way, is they are obviously very good against Mutalists, but the longer the game goes, the weaker they become. So you really need to hit some form of timing if you're going to use queens as your defense, more so than trying to go for, you know, good economy off 3 bases, 6 gases and Hydralisk production or Infestor production. Queens are good, but they get weaker the longer the game goes on.
And with where he's placing his Overseer on the far left, I wouldn't even be surprised if he actually went for a Nidus again, but threw it down before the rocks.
Yeah, Nidus is a very popular way to deal with Mutalisks.
Yeah.
And there's the Infestation Pit. Suppy's going to do the same. Unless he gets the Enduring Locust, he's going to do the same again. So I would like to see this play out a little bit more and see if he can achieve what he wants.
If it gets to its final stage and we can see how that works, it'd be very, very interesting. Some Zerglings just poised on this right-hand side. He knows there's a few over on the right here as well.
No Hydralisk Den notice. It's just Queens, and Economy, and Roaches for the time being.
And if it is just Queens and no Hydralisk Den, then there is the potential that we do see a Nidus again. There's not... those Queens... He's not going to sit around defensively and just let Suppy get to his end goal.
Suppy's taken full map control now, which is expected once you're the Mutalist player, but he has got that Overseer over here with speed.
Checking.
Gonna plop down a Changeling, have a look inside, see that Hive again, and then let's have a look what Serral decides to do upon seeing this. He's seen the Hive now. Infestation Pit was on its way anyway.
Oh, so he might play this a bit more defensively, but falling behind in terms of now seeing the Hive, and then there's the Hydralisk Den as well.
Yeah, so he can start building up a lot of Hydras. He's got all 6 gases now.
Okay. The Overseer will eventually get picked off, one would think, if it was pursued. There we go. That does fall. So he doesn't really have any vision left on the map, so there's not really an opportunity for him to go for some kind of Nidus play, but sneaky, sneaky extra Overseer is having a look around.
So, +2 attack about to finish. +2 Hydras rip Mutalist out the sky.
Status cancelled that Swarm Host there. As Tastelope chilling out, as always, here on Expedition Lost. That's 30. Oh! Actually catching those in a really nice position. And he does force so much as transfuses, loses a Mutalist for his troubles.
So here comes the Hydras production, and there's a lot of them, because he's got a lot of money. 19. His creep spread's okay, and he will start to push down. He's got no Nidus Swim. He will have to take the fight to the ground. There's a lot of spines. There's no Bailey Nest, remember? Mutalisk cannot combat this high Hydralisk count.
They're going to try to for now.
They can't. They actually can't.
It's a bit difficult. It's very, very difficult. But the Great Aspire is on the way, so Suppy is just trying to buy time.
Yeah, he needs a Great Aspire to defend against this push.
This is going to be difficult. That base on the bottom right has already been spotted, so that will die.
A lot more spines have been added on for Suppy. If he can buy some time for these to finish, he might be able to hold on long enough to be able to get this Great Aspire completed to build in the Broodlords. That's a great pickup.
Yeah, really good intercepting the reinforcements as they were moving out, and even getting some of those active creep tumors at the front.
Can he get to... his Great Aspire's almost finished. This base is... Well, that's just not going to be used anymore, I don't think.
He could actually have this build come to the point that he wants it at.
Nice pickups.
Well, this is good movement, really good movement.
He's picking up so many Hydralisks.
Yeah. Just positioning himself so well.
Only for 3 Mutalisk lost, and one of them got lost to Queens earlier. Spines are now done.
And every single one he kills makes it harder and harder to deal with the next follow-up.
Right next to
he has no anti-air.
I wonder what Serral's next follow-up is going to be. He's got the Spire on the way to help build Corruptors. But there's going to be a timing where Suppy could even move across the map with his Broodlords and march over there. Obviously, he'd become weaker to counterattacks and run-bys. That may be something that Serral will try to do. But Serral picks at the 4th, and I think he's realized he's missed his opportunity, missed his timing. Yeah,
he's going to have to retreat back for a little bit and play this out a bit further. He's getting that 4th base on the way. There is an attack up to his 3rd base, doing something with a few Lings, but they will get cleaned up pretty quickly at the cost of a Spine or 2. And at least the Mutalisks keep getting good trades in the middle of the map. Always cutting the reinforcements, finding these little weaknesses, be it a few isolated Hydralisks or a few Roaches.
That's a lot of units. I'm sure the cost efficiency game is heavily in favor of Suppy. Oh, it's not. It's not really, is it?
Not too bad.
But the Mutalisks have done a lot. They really have done a lot in this game.
And he's transitioned on to a higher tech much, much faster here as Suppy. So, but the Broodlords, can they even do anything in this window? There's 10 Corruptors about to pop.
Yeah, they're about to pop. And the thing is Suppy's army is very powerful in a heads-up fight at the moment. But the more Corruptors get added on, the Roaches are going to just destroy the ground fight no matter what. Hydras are going to be awesome against the Mutalisks. And then you got Corruptors being added in too. So it just comes a balance to see if Serral can have enough anti-air.
Regardless, it's nice to see Suppy actually, again, get his game plan going, especially since he tried it in game 1 and it was not successful. So let's see what these greater Spire units can do with the Broodlords. He's going to have to be very, very slow and patient about it, though.
I like how the Mutalisks combat the weakness of Suppy's composition, which is the mobility. Mutalisks are pretty fast, so they can come around and help defend against any run-bys.
That's true. But this is a potentially very, very big run-by.
This is a big run-by, yeah. This is a big army run-by.
He needs the Corruptors here with this, though.
They're going to be in really good position, though. Because of this area in the center, the Broodlords can sit there and deal damage. Obviously, the Corruptors can come in, but Suppy should have his own Corruptors and Mutalisks in support, too.
Yeah, if you can't get to the Mutalisks, all the flying units with the Hydralisks as well, of course, the Corruptors can get into that spot, but the Hydras can't really.
Yeah.
So that's something that he does have to consider when...
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. Suppy's got his 4th base now up and running. And he's also got 2 evolution chambers coming in. Probably, I would imagine, for melee upgrades. Help his broodlings out. And also he can start to do Ling run-bys around the map too.
Suppy having added on some Infestors here, which locking down this army would be very, very nice. If he could land some on those Hydralisks or even clumped up Corruptors, that would be great.
Mutalisks are very far out of position. Look at this. Serral runs into the main base with the Roaches.
Before +2's even going to finish, that is certain to die. He has no transfuses here available.
Brilliant.
That goes down.
And at the same time, he's on the 4th base with his main army.
Yeah. Good luck, Broodlords, for getting over there. Plus, Mutalisks can, but...
Exploiting the weakness of the Broodlords.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And this is the perfect map to try and exploit it on, because the 1st and 4th are so far away. Separate corners of the map.
Great pick up there. Very nice by Serral. Very, very nice 1-2.
Roaches come in for the defense at this 3rd base as the drones actually have to go for combat there for a second and get pulled all the way off. Doesn't want to be losing too many of those, but a lot of workers got killed off down here.
I wonder what the ideal army for Suppy is to move out and attack. Whenever he moves out, there should be Roaches running around. Like that again is going to be the way to exploit the way that Suppy's playing.
Yeah, definitely. That's the answer. Even borrows some of these drones even to just keep them very, very safe. And Roaches will come along to defend that. But he's maxed out almost his Serral here. It's a pretty strong army considering. 17 Corruptors. If they just kill off the Broodlords, they have done their job.
Yeah.
And then the Hydralisks can go to work as well.
How many Hydros are there? 14. 20 Mutalisks is a little bit scary too. It's a shame they lost their +2 attack.
That's true.
Infestors are going to help out as well to be able to hold these units around. But if he loses them in the center...
He's on the hunt. Okay, so Fungal will be able to slow that down for a little bit. But he finds the Broodlords a little bit isolated, that Spore Crawler.
Didn't get one. He could have got that one. Never
Yeah.
mind.
It is taking a little damage, but...
Cool Zerg versus Zerg game, though. Really cool. Very cool to see these two dynamic, groups of armies fight off against each other.
Two diverse playstyles that you don't normally see clash.
Yeah.
Especially Suppies. Especially Suppies. Alright, well...
These melee upgrades are going to be awesome for these Broodlings.
Yeah, they are. At least he's going to get this.
There's a Ling run by to the top left as well. That's very nice.
He keeps adding on these small pockets, and they do work.
Yeah.
How many workers has he killed so far? 19. It's alright.
I mean, both players using the mobility of their Zerglings rather well in this game. Also the Roaches with speed.
Serral's going to have double upgrades, though, on these Corruptors soon enough when he has the second Spire just now finished. Even going for Tunneling Claws on these Roaches so that he can do a little bit of extra harassment.
I think Serral's harassment's been obviously much better in this game, and because Suppy's building this very slow, powerful, and expensive army, look at the bank difference, too. That's a big factor in this game, which we hasn't really talked about yet, is that if they do fight and trade off units, depending on what's left over from Suppy and his army, let's say he loses all his Mutalisks, but keeps all his Broodlords alive with a few Corruptors in support, you can have an additional reinforcements of Corruptors coming out from Serral to just, clear up the rest of the game.
Yeah, Corruptors do a whole lot here. It's going to be difficult for... You've got to weigh up the pros and cons, right? Does Suppy's army that's been heavily invested into beat this and then another army? I don't think so. I don't think so just now. He needs to do a little bit more here.
And as much as Serral, Serral's been using the mobility of his army very well to exploit the weakness of Suppy, which is defending multiple locations. Another weakness of Suppy is his ability to be able to harass as well, remember. He's been attempting with Lings running around, but there's Spine Crawlers and Spores everywhere. Roaches and Zerglings of his own running around helping out too. So not only has Serral been harassing, he's also been defending very, very well across these multiple bases. He's sat on 5 right now, and his bank continues to grow. He's playing this out very smartly.
Sat on 5 bases and denying 5 bases of his opponent on the other side whilst burrowing in with a few of these Roaches.
Where's the greatest Spire gone? Alright, just regular Spire, get that +3 attack then.
Yeah, anything he wants. Well, +2 weapons would be nice.
Yeah, this is a beautiful run-by.
Anything is nice. Stopping Lings from production so he can't actually have access to run-bys anymore because that was his big mobile unit. If he left them with his Mutalisks, which is his other mobile unit, then they would be vulnerable and he could just try and dive in on the Broodlords. So this really causes a lot of problems. He keeps getting tech.
Very nice. And what we're going to... Suppy's starting... if not already, taken way too much damage by all these different types of run-bys. Is it time for him to finally attack? To move out with his big army and then attempt a fight here?
The Infestors, there's actually 11 of them, and with 4 extra on the way, making 15, that's a lot of fungal growth potential, or even Infested Terrans if a fight goes into a position where Serral has to take it. So... it's going to be very interesting to see how much Serral's going to actually be able to kill off there. But he gets himself a free Infestor. He could get a second one as well. Oh, for just 3 Roaches. That's a big pickup there.
Well, Suppy does need to try to do some damage himself shortly. This bank is becoming a bit of a problem.
Yeah, one would say that.
Not just a bit, it's becoming a big problem.
And all the tech has been found again. All the Roaches, as that Spire finishes, he finds it and just kills it off. There's nothing that can react. It's like, Suppy had this game plan to go to this tech.
Yeah,
and that's great, but how do you kill your opponent?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's built this army up over the last 20 minutes or so, but he hasn't actually moved across the halfway line yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine if he just typed GG and was like, well, never mind. It was a good attempt to try to build this army up.
There's a very common meme in RPGs where you get elixirs and you get these really powerful potions and they're fantastic to use, but you never really want to use them. It's like, but then I couldn't use it later on. Like, he can't...
kind of like this, yeah.
He can't do anything with it. He can't move out anytime.
He's lost his hive now, too. It's just a painful death, really. It's very smartly played here by Serral, and I was a little bit nervous with Serral coming in today if his nerves were going to play a factor in today's group, and to be honest, it's not really showing. And with a 2-0 to start the day up, like I said, he's now, for me, a definite contender for #1, even against Naniwa.
Yeah, he's looking good. He is. He's getting drones after drone after drone. He's got the tech, he's killed off so many Spires in this game, 3 or 4 throughout the entirety of the game, because he just keeps finding them with these burrowed roaches.
So what is Suppy's game plan? I mean, I know I'm the one that's meant to be telling you that, but I don't know.
He took inspiration from 4GG yesterday.
He's just been running around, taking a lot of damage, and you know, at the end of the day, he's got to try to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that way is, if there is one anymore.
It's funny because I was quoting the number of infestors that Suppy had before, but now, I mean, Serral's found his way up to 10 as well. So it really goes blow for blow here.
It reminds me of the good old Broodlord Infestor days, where you'd build up this army against a Terran or so, and then he'd just drop all these different types of bases, and then you'd be left with one. And then you try to push out, and even if you did push out, he'd try to come and counterattack and destroy it all.
It was a huge fungal growth if he could continue chaining them, but Serral spread the rest of his army out very, very carefully. On the right-hand side, he also got a great fungal growth on some of the Corruptors on the other side, but will they be able to continue chaining is the big deal, because there's infestors everywhere. I'm not sure who's a who's at this point.
Yeah, Serral's backing off because he lost that fight badly. He walked into those fungal growths. Now it's time to use the bank, and all the lava that he's got saved up. And even if he did take a bad fight, he had that option to help him out. And there it is. Can they do that, though? Can 36 Mutalisks combat the amount of units that are left out still?
He's only got 1 infestor left to his name here as Suppy, but he has a lot of money to replenish infestors because of the mineral to gas ratio. He needs to get some of those out. He's decided actually to go into Corruptors. That might not be the best choice.
I think 51 Mutalisks. Even though there's Corruptors out here.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Mutalisks. He's used his bank well.
Oh, 1 infestor's not going to shut that down, unfortunately.
No. And everything's weak as well.
Oh, dear. And I think he's just got...
He's going for it. And then they have to fight because the Brutals are so slow.
Yeah, you can't leave. You actually can't leave. The Mutalisks are just going to dive straight into here. Actually, a lot of corruption goes down from Suppy to try and keep himself in this fight. But even if he loses a lot of these Mutalisks, he still has the access to another 15 as reinforcement. All the Broodlords fall down, and now all he has is Corruptors.
Yeah, and he's gone to Hydralisk because there's only Corruptors, as you said, in the sky there. So, nice move there by Suppy. And even though he lost that fight badly, throughout the rest of the game, he's played perfect and played awesome. He had multiple safety nets to fall back onto, and he's like, well, I lost that fight badly, didn't I, everybody? But look at my supply, and look at him.
That was, yeah, it was, the cool thing about it was Serral, it really felt as if he knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah.
As that sort of, well, I guess I'll lose this, I'll just make 50 Mutalisks and win. It's very, very difficult now for Suppy to really start shutting that down.
Yeah, I'd say he supplied over 200 here, and Serral's a beast. That was a wonderful performance, even though the fight didn't go his way, it didn't matter. That was wonderful, and there's no way, the Suppy just doesn't have any money. There's no way ever in this game anymore that he can get back up to 200 supply. And the young 16-year-old from Finland, excellent start to the day. Excellent.
Yeah. Very, very strong play. Rivaling a strategy that is less common here from Suppy, but that's the cool thing about StarCraft. You know, you can see people actually bringing out these diverse strategies, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But regardless of the fact, Serral, as we said in game number 1, was able to solve the puzzle pretty darn quickly. GG, well played. Serral takes the series 2-0 and advances on to the winners match.
With big red rings around his ears because of those soundproof headsets. Yeah, very well done. Very, very impressive.
Suppy has another chance. He will fall down to the lower position here in this group and will play the loser of the next series that we cast, which will be our Protoss versus Protoss. Serral doing very, very well there to start things off in Group F, and he seems to have changed a little bit of your perspective on him going into this group.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I was a little bit nervous about him earlier on, but not anymore. Not anymore. And now it's kind of everyone's getting on the edge of their seat because they know what's coming up next.
Oh, yes. It's going to be our Protoss versus Protoss, and it's going to be Haas versus that guy.
That guy who makes his comeback after 12 months of absence in the WCS, finally makes his return, which everyone's very, very excited for. And will he be able to escape from the group, though? That's going to be the big question today.
Yeah, we'll find out in just a little bit. Before we go to that, we're going to go to an interview with Serral.
Thank you very much, Kalaris. Serral, congratulations, a really fantastic victory. I had complete faith in you that you were going to win this 2-0. Stefano didn't. I'd just like to point that out so you can give him a hard time when you see him upstairs. Talk us through the two maps. First of all, the first map, was that the plan all along to end up with the Nidus coming out, or was that something you adapted to halfway through?
It was just that I saw his tech, so he was going to Broodlords, so it was obvious that, and I also saw that there was place where I can fit it, so I just made it there and it ended the game.
Yeah, it worked well. Second map, much longer map, and you had to be a lot more patient on the second map, and then you took a fight which didn't look like it was going very well, but you had a massive bank behind it. Were you thinking, doesn't matter if I lose this, I'm just going to bring out all the mutas? Was that the plan?
Yeah, also he has had only 2-0 on his IR, so I knew that the muta transit would kill him, kind of.
Yeah, very well done indeed. You don't seem nervous at all under these spotlights and on the stage and everything. Are you nervous up there, or
a bit?
A little bit?
Yeah.
I think that's amazing, and you're still 16, so you're still learning and you're still getting used to all of these stages, but you've played fantastically well. Can you take the whole group now? Does it matter who you play next?
Yeah, I think I have a good chance.
Yeah? Okay. A man of few words, but they're good words. Todd?
I want to ask you about game one. How much experience did you have playing against a Zerg that tries to reach Broodlord like this? And if your Nidus hadn't worked, if he cancelled it or killed it somehow before it got up, how do you think you would have been able to do in that game? How do you think it would have gone?
I think that, I haven't played no one plays in Europe like that, so it's kind of the first time. Okay. Or of course some play sometimes just to try out new stuff. And about if it would have failed, I think it would have turned out just like the second game.
Okay, in a longer game.
Yeah, because I don't think that I can't come back if he cancels it, because I still will have good.
You can try again to Nidus.
I don't need to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I'm glad you talk about the second game, because actually we got a replay here that I want to talk to you about a little bit in the second game. So here we're at just before the 21st minute mark, and it looked like here for a moment you were going to engage, and it's no secret that I'm no ZvZ expert, so I want you to explain to me here, what was your reasoning? Obviously, I know why you're not engaging, because he's up the ramp, he has some infestors, but what are you thinking the situation is in this game right now? Do you think you're in a good position? Do you know exactly that you need to harass everywhere already, or are you going along the way and making decisions?
Yeah, against these kind of styles, I at least know that I need to harass a lot, because his arm is really slow. Of course, the mutas are fast, but they can't catch poor overroaches too well. So, and about the decision to go back there, the main issue was the spores, I felt like, because they just kill your corruptors so fast, kind of, so I got a bit scared. And
do you sorry, finish? Yes, you were scared? Okay. Do you think that this Broodlord style is not viable? Because you made it look like it's not viable at all. Or do you think that you're just that good that it didn't matter?
I think it's viable, but you need to spread more overseers around the map and just not die to those roaches.
Okay. Fair enough. Sounds good.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Todd. Thank you very much, Serral. We'll see you in the winners' game a little bit later on, but for now, well done. Congratulations to Serral, who wins 2-0 on his first appearance in the Premier League for the World Championship Series. Ain't nothing but a 16-year-old for him. Easy. Game 2 is on its way next, and it is the return of the King in the North. Can he come back full strength and win a match in the WCS Premier League? It's been a long time since we've seen him, but we're pleased to have him back. Also alongside him, going head-to-head with him, is a Taiwanese player who's out to prove that he's #1 in Taiwan and not his teammate. We'll see after the break who goes through to the winners' bracket.